I had only stepped out to grab a bag of spicy strips. By the time I got back, my father had thrown his arms around me and was sobbing uncontrollably. He even dropped to his knees and kowtowed frantically. "I'm begging you, give your awakened beast to your brother," I responded by slapping him across the face. Twice. Because this was a world of beast tamers. Everyone awakened their own contracted beast when they turned 18. I had awakened an epic-grade abyssal flood dragon. My brother, on the other hand, had awakened a useless dirt-burrowing mole. But ever since he was young, my brother had latched onto a billionaire heiress. If he grew up and married into her family, our parents would ride his coattails straight to the top. So my father ordered me to dissolve the contract. If I refuse, he would cut ties with me entirely. My first instinct was to say no on the spot. As long as the dragon didn't agree, I'd find a way to take it with me. But the flood dragon had other ideas. It walked right up to my brother and bowed its head in submission. It was a noble creature, it said. Only someone with my brother's connections to the heiress could afford to keep it. As for me, its destitute excuse of an owner, it couldn't wait to be free. Seeing this, I smiled. If that's what you both want, then have it. I pressed my palm shut and snapped the contract chain. A tearing pain erupted through my mind. The damage from breaking a contract chain was permanent, but I had no use for a dragon that turned its back on its master. I gritted my teeth against the pain and forced myself to stay upright. Through blurring vision, I caught a glimpse of Jiang Zhenhai rushing forward, now suddenly full of regret. But he snatched the dragon's crystal and pressed it into my brother Jiang Hai's chest, completing the new master contract. Jiang Hai couldn't contain himself. He threw his head back and laughed. The fire of revenge ignited in my chest. Just an epic-grade flood dragon, isn't it? One day I would take that traitorous beast back with my own hands and tear it to pieces. My eyes went cold. I turned and walked toward the door, each step heavier than the last. My father's voice followed me from behind. "Don't blame me for this." I let out a short, humorless laugh. "I don't blame you. But whatever happens later, don't you dare blame me." The school's beginner trial was opening in 3 days. Only those who passed could apply to Spark University. I had to form a new beast contract before then. So I went to a jewelry shop and sold the jade pendant my grandmother had given me for 200,000 yuan. Then I took a cab to Nanyang City's largest beast trading house, Wanshu House. I went straight to the 8th floor, the rare beast section. Dozens of rare-grade beasts in all shapes and sizes lined the hall, but when I looked at the price tags, every display case had 500,000 marked at the bottom. The Silver Moon Wolf was listed at 800,000. 800,000. They might as well just take it by force. I rubbed my nose in embarrassment and tightened my grip on my 200,000. I stopped one of the sales assistants and asked, "Do you have anything cheaper?" She smiled and shook her head patiently. "This floor is already all rare-grade beasts. For something cheaper, you'd want to look at the excellent grade section." I turned to leave, disappointed, but she added, "Although, there are some damaged ones in the basement. Much cheaper, but the quality is far lower." I didn't hesitate. "Take me down there. With only 200,000, it's my only shot." I followed her down to the basement. The air was thick and cold, and rust-pitted iron cages sat scattered carelessly around the room. I moved between the cages, scanning the beasts inside. Nothing caught my eye. I was starting to lose hope. Then I spotted a cage in the corner. One glance, and an overwhelming flood of information nearly burst across my vision. I walked over quickly and found a small turtle inside, barely the size of a palm. When it saw someone approach, it struggled to lift its head. Our eyes met, and in that gaze, I saw a desperate, wordless plea. Name, Ventral Water Spirit Turtle. Grade, Rare. Evolution Path, Epic Grade Black Spirit Demon Turtle. Fusion Path 1, Immortal Rune Shell Dragon Turtle. Fusion Path 2, Legendary Abyssal River Saint Turtle. 26 fusion paths in total. I was stunned. This was the most fusion paths I had ever seen on any beast. Wait, I stopped cold. My eyes locked onto the last path on the list, Legendary Ice Death Bone Chill Black Tortoise. Was this the black tortoise from the legends I had imagined? My mouth went dry. I reached out and touched the cracked shell. My brother's careless grin and my father's cold, indifferent expression drifted back into my mind. As if sensing the rage of revenge inside me, heat radiated from the cracks in the little turtle's shell. I looked down and saw the reflection of the flood dragon shimmering in the murky water beneath. Then the turtle raised one small claw and scattered it. I looked at the little creature with pure admiration, then let the abyssal flood dragon be the first stepping stone on the black tortoise's path. As luck would have it, in the basement warehouse of Wanshu House sat a damaged cold water serpent, exactly what the fusion required. I carefully lifted the small turtle out of the rusted cage, then walked over to the serpent's cage in the corner, took it out, and said, "I'll take these two." The assistant could see how set I was and didn't push back. She said, "All right, 50,000 each." 50,000 was within range. I was in a hurry to get them back and draw out their spirit cards, so I paid 100,000 on the spot. The assistant's smile widened, and she led me back up to the main floor. I said, "I have 100,000 left. Can you pull 3 materials for me?" And I gave her the names of what was needed for the fusion. While the assistant was away, every eye in the hall had drifted toward me. "Look at that guy. He actually bought 2 broken down beasts. Has he completely lost it? What could you even do with those? Use them as dead weight?" Ha! The words reached my ears. The small turtle and serpent in my palms curled in on themselves, their quiet sobbing unstoppable. I felt the trembling against my skin. I met the eyes of the ones mocking them with a cold, steady gaze. Then I spoke to the 2 small creatures. "Don't listen to them. You're not dead weight. I chose you, and that makes you the best in the world." The 2 little ones stared up at me in disbelief. Slowly, carefully, They lifted their curled heads. I looked down at them and gave a firm nod. No one gets to talk about my beasts like that. Just then, the assistant came jogging back and handed me 3 boxes. The materials wiped out the remaining 100,000. I was now completely broke. I took the materials, left Wanshu House, and headed back to the hotel. I drew the curtains. I didn't know what the fusion process would bring. Something this reality-bending couldn't be seen by anyone else. I'm going to make you stronger now. It might hurt a bit. If it gets to be too much, tell me to stop. They both nodded, and silently each made a vow. Even if the pain kills us, we won't cry out. We'll get stronger. We'll protect this kind master in front of us. I opened the 3 boxes and laid out the fusion materials. An abyss sunken coffin, underworld river water, and a binding knot. Let's begin. The fusion went smoothly. By the end, both little ones had passed out from the pain without ever making a sound. My heart ached for them. Next time, don't be so tough about it. Even without getting stronger, I would have kept you both. Then a pillar of golden light enveloped them. An invisible wave passed through the walls and shot straight into the sky, scattering light in every direction. Fortunately, every gap in the room had been sealed tight. No one outside noticed a thing. At the Nanyang City Governor's office, Governor Su Tinglan was in the middle of a meeting about the newly appearing rift in Nanyang. The next moment, a thunderous crack rang out. A fissure split straight through the conference table. Su Tinglan's pupils contracted sharply. She turned to look through the window at the city below. She had never seen such a golden aura before. Something capable of releasing this kind of energy was either an extremely powerful rift from another world tearing open, or a legendary grade initial beast emerging. She immediately dismissed the latter. No one had spoken of a legendary grade initial beast in nearly 1,000 years. How could one simply appear in Nanyang City? Her expression turned serious. She said, "Begin a thorough sweep of every rift around Nanyang at once." Meanwhile, in the hotel room, the golden light faded. I immediately checked on the turtle and serpent. Both had changed beyond recognition. The little turtle had grown 2 sizes, roughly the diameter of a wash basin. The cracks in its shell had healed over, now covered in a layer of ice blue tracings. A small ice gold lump had grown on top of the serpent's head. Its length had reached 1 meter. The black serpent's tail was coiled around the shell. The 2 little ones looked as if they had become one. I looked at them, still deep in sleep, and let out a quiet breath. Heart racing, I checked their new description. Name: Ice Death Bone Chill Black Tortoise. Grade: Legendary. Cannot be fused further. It had actually become a legendary grade black tortoise. I couldn't calm the surge of emotion. Legendary grade, a power I had only ever seen on television, and now it was real. The little turtle bore no comparison to the abyssal flood dragon from before. I tried to steady my heartbeat. The betrayal from the night before still played on a loop in my mind. Before long, the day of the trial arrived. The entrance was packed, students talking up their beasts and looking for teammates. The monsters inside were fierce. For most people, teaming up was the only sensible choice. The moment I arrived, I spotted a very familiar face. Jiang Hai had his arm around his fiancée Lin Yating. The abyssal flood dragon hovered above them both. Students crowded around on all sides, each trying to get closer to Jiang Hai. "Boss, you're incredible. An epic grade flood dragon. First place in this trial is as good as yours." One student pointed toward the entrance, at me. "Boss, isn't that your brother? Didn't you say your brother called up some useless dirt mole? How'd it turn into a turtle?" I smiled to myself and stood quietly watching, curious to see how my dear brother would spin this. Jiang Hai looked noticeably uneasy under my gaze. Then Lin Yating spoke up. He obviously ditched the mole. Who'd want a useless thing like that? And another thing, he stopped being Jiang Hai's brother a long time ago. Watch what you say around here. She settled back against Jiang Hai's side. I couldn't help but laugh. My dear little brother really knew how to twist a story. Since when was I the one who'd awakened a useless mole? But now wasn't the time for revenge. Once we were inside the trial, I'd find my moment. Jiang Hai gave a resigned sigh and walked over with Lin Yating at his side. He said, "Why bother bringing some useless turtle just to get yourself killed?" I smiled coldly. "Jiang Hai, it's a real shame you never went into acting. I'm not here to argue with you. I'll just leave you with one piece of advice." I paused and looked at him with open contempt. Trash is still trash. Stealing something from someone else doesn't change what you are. I turned to walk away. Jiang Hai called out in fury, "You trash now still running your mouth? I'll give you a lesson you won't forget." Then, to the abyssal flood dragon, he said, "Go shatter that turtle's broken shell." The abyssal flood dragon exploded forward before the words had even finished. Its purple tail turned razor sharp and came slashing straight toward my beast. Looks of pity passed through the crowd. That poor guy's beast was going to end up badly hurt at best. What did he expect, having a brother with a flood dragon? In their eyes, I had no chance of reacting in time, but the instant the dragon's tail came down on the shell, a water shield snapped into place and absorbed the blow. Impossible. How did he react so fast? And more to the point, that turtle had just blocked a flood dragon's attack. Gasps broke out on all sides. Even Jiang Hai looked stunned. That's not possible. Just then, a quiet laugh drifted into every ear. I looked at Jiang Hai with an amused smile. I said, "I knew you'd pull something like that, since you made the first move. Don't say I wasn't playing fair." At that moment, the bell rang. The beginner trial had officially begun. The students around us scattered in every direction. I frowned slightly and held my beast back with a raised hand. Jiang Hai seized the opening, grabbed Lin Yating's hand, and ran for the entrance. Just before disappearing, he turned back with a smirk. "Useless. Let's see how you die in there." I looked at him with cold contempt, then walked toward the entrance with my beast at my side. Inside the trial space, I found myself standing in a dense jungle. Detection orbs circled overhead, keeping everything in view. By the rules, I needed to kill monsters and earn points, placing in the top 1,000 across the entire alliance. I checked the time. 3 hours until the trial ended. I had to move. Xuanbao. This time we're going for first place. Xuanbao was the name I gave it to conceal its true identity as a black tortoise. Xuanbao gave a firm nod, eyes steady and sure. I patted its head and set off into the forest. We met our first monster almost immediately. A 2-meter timber wolf with silver blue fur. Name Thunderfang Wolf. Bronze tier 2. Our very first encounter was a tier 2 beast, and a lightning type at that. For most people, that was a bad omen. One wrong move, and it could mean death. My expression held steady. Xuanbao, take it down. Xuanbao had been waiting for this. Battle fury burned at its core. This was its first fight since the transformation. At my command, a deep blue wave of water rippled outward across its body. It lunged. The water wave easily deflected the Thunderfang wolf's lightning bite, even snapping 2 of its teeth in the process. The wolf flew backward and crashed into a tree. I said, use the Yin Abyss Mist. Xuanbao opened its mouth and exhaled a swirl of dark blue water vapor. The fog wrapped around the Thunderfang wolf. A deafening howl split the air. When the mist cleared, only a clean set of wolf bones remained on the ground. An orb of energy rose from the skeleton and sank into Xuanbao. I felt the shift in Xuanbao. Just one more tier 2 kill, and it would likely reach tier 2 itself. But what surprised me most was that the black tortoise had one-shot the Thunderfang wolf across tier levels with a single move. Xuanbao, you're amazing. I crouched down to give it a hug, and found it was crying. I understood. It was too excited. It had spent so long in that dim basement of Wanshu House, enduring nothing but mockery and contempt. Now, at last, it had broken free of all that. The enormity of the gap was finally released. I rubbed its head gently. That kind of life is behind you now. You two are going to become the strongest beasts in the world. Both little ones nodded hard. Tears streaked their faces. They swore silently that from this day forward, they would give their lives to protect their master. Then we moved on, hunting for stronger prey. After the Thunderfang wolf, we started seeking out tougher targets. About 10 minutes later, our second monster appeared. A bronze tier 2 poison tail scorpion. Poison type it may have been, but it was no match for Xuanbao. The Yin Abyss mist settled over it. Within seconds, nothing remained but bones. An energy orb rose from the carcass and entered Xuanbao's head. I checked its status immediately. Xuanbao had advanced straight to bronze tier 2. Before I could even celebrate, a rush of spiritual force flooded my mind. My own level broke through to bronze tier 2 as well. A tamer's tier follows their beasts, and as spiritual force grows, there's the chance to contract even more beasts in the future. I reached out and stroked the little black tortoise's head, quietly overjoyed. After that, we ranged deeper into the forest, hunting down the highest tier monsters we could find. Every beast we passed, tier 1 or tier 2, we took down without exception, and my score climbed like a rocket. In the Nanyang Middle School monitoring room, Supervisor Wu Yang was busy uploading surveillance footage to the Alliance headquarters. Footsteps came from behind. It was School Principal Liu Yefeng. He walked over quickly, eyes fixed on the rankings on the main screen, and asked, "How many from our school made the top 1,000? Wu Yang shook his head. "This year's group is weaker than last year's. Only 3 have made it so far." Principal Liu shook his head in disappointment. Wu Yang continued, "And only Jiang Hai, the one with the epic grade Flood Dragon, broke into the top 200. His score barely scraped past 1,000. The other 2 are hovering outside the top 800. Principal Liu sighed and shook his head. This year the whole alliance is struggling. Fewer than 200 students have hit 1,000 points. At this rate, we're going to lose the world challenge against the Charm Demon clan again. Wu Yang sighed as well. If the alliance loses again this year, that'll make 10 straight defeats. Just as he turned to get back to sorting through student footage, a name flashed up at the bottom of the main screen. Nanyang Middle School. Jiang Lin. Wu Yang grinned and was about to call out to the principal, when he watched the name shoot upward like a rocket, blinking past 500th place in the span of a breath. "Principal! Look at this!" Liu Yefeng, already halfway to the door, turned back. He followed Wu Yang's gaze to the alliance rankings. In the time it took to look, my name had already climbed to 100th place, and the score beside my name was still climbing at a terrifying pace. It had just broken 2,000. Liu Yefeng's pupils tightened. He stared at the name, unblinking. How can a score be rising this fast? Wu Yang suspected a data error. Even Jiang Hai, with his epic grade beast, had barely cracked 1,000, and I had overtaken him by 1,000 points in a matter of minutes. He ran diagnostics on everything, even filed a report with Alliance headquarters. No error was found. Liu Yefeng tried to keep his composure, but the corners of his mouth refused to cooperate. My score had already broken 3,000, placing me in the Alliance's top 10. The gap between me and first place was down to just 600 points, and I showed no signs of slowing. Principal Liu shouted, "Pull up his surveillance feed, now." If I remembered right, he was Jiang Hai's older brother, but word was he'd only awakened an ordinary grade dirt mole king. Wu Yang had already grasped the significance of the situation. He pulled up my live feed on the monitor. My name was still climbing. I had reached first place, and my score had broken 5,000. Liu Yefeng forgot all about appearances and stepped straight up to the screen to watch. On the feed, I was moving alongside the little black tortoise, following a stream deeper into the forest. On close inspection, both the tamer and beast had already reached bronze tier 4. "Xuanbao, you're sure you sensed a tier 6 monster deeper in?" The little black tortoise gave a firm nod, eyes unwavering. "Half an hour left. Today we find out just how strong a tier 6 monster really is." 10 minutes later, sure enough, a bronze tier 6 monster appeared. Name, Spineback Bear. Bronze tier 6. I looked at the dark brown Spineback Bear. Even the pressure of its tier 6 bronze aura was in a different class from anything lower. If Xuanbao were at tier 5 I wouldn't worry at all, but we were only at tier 4, 2 full tiers below. But what upset me even more was that I wasn't the only one present. A 5-person team was being driven back steadily by the Spineback Bear, pushed closer and closer to the stream's edge. One teammate called out, voice hoarse, "Boss, can we get out of here? What are you scared of? It's already running low, keep going." Zhang Hai grabbed one of his teammates by the arm and shoved them forward. I watched it all unfold. This was exactly who my younger brother had always been. He'd do anything for his own gain. What a coincidence. My dear little brother. I watched in cold silence, waiting for the right moment. The teammate who'd been shoved tried to retreat, only to be cut off by the flood dragon. He was trapped. No way to advance. No way to fall back. The Spineback Bear didn't hesitate. One furious swipe, and it was over. Zhang Hai didn't flinch. Not for a second. He reached out and grabbed another teammate. "You're up." That teammate hadn't even processed what was happening before he was thrown straight in front of the bear. Eyes blazing red, he screamed with his last breath, "Zhang Hai, you piece of trash." Zhang Hai didn't even blink. He threw the last teammate forward too, and shot the flood dragon a look. Find your moment, pin the bear down and buy time for him and Lin Yating to escape. The Spineback Bear saw another body hurtling toward it. It launched its 1,000-spine fury claw, ready to end him, and then its paw slowed. Without warning, a veil of dark blue mist swallowed the bear whole. A soul-splitting howl rose from inside. When the mist dissolved, all that remained of the once fearsome Spineback Bear was bone. Zhang Hai went rigid. He grabbed Lin Yating and spun to run, then found he couldn't move. "Long time no see, little brother." My voice reached him before I did. Zhang Hai twisted around in disbelief to see me approaching. I smiled pleasantly, reached out, and gave Zhang Hai a light pat on the cheek. "What's wrong? Can't bring yourself to call me brother?" At the same moment, an energy orb rose from the Spineback Bear's carcass and entered Xuanbao's head. Xuanbao advanced straight to bronze tier 5. The force pressing Zhang Hai down intensified. Zhang Hai felt the weight on his back double. Lin Yating collapsed flat against the ground. Zhang Hai's pupils shrank to pinpoints. In that moment, I looked like a demon to him. He spat, "Bastard. Go to hell." His eyes hardened. The abyssal flood dragon's tail slashed through the air, shadow execution activated, aimed straight at me. It never made contact. Xuanbao's black tortoise domain blocked every inch of it. My eyes went cold. "Zhang Hai, you really don't hold back. That move was meant to kill me." I took a breath. Then I drove my foot into Zhang Hai and knocked him to the ground. I stood on his face and said, "Did you and Mom and Dad ever think it would come to this? There are times I actually want to kill you." Zhang Hai had never been this close to death. His eyes filled with terror and his voice came out shaking. "Why is that turtle so strong? This is the trial space. You can't kill me here." The words came out as nearly a scream, fear saturating every syllable. I pulled my foot back. "Of course I won't kill you." I turned to look at the flood dragon, now pinned by Xuanbao. "But I'm going to give you a small taste of what's coming." "Xuanbao, hold the dragon." Xuanbao let out a low sound and locked down the flood dragon with a stronger pressive force. The abyssal flood dragon dropped straight out of the sky. Xuanbao outranked it by 2 full tiers. The flood dragon was no match at all. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small blade. Zhang Hai screamed, "What are you doing to my dragon?" "Your dragon?" I laughed. I pressed the blade to the dragon's reverse scale and cut clean through it, flesh and all. The abyssal flood dragon shrieked in pain, straining against Xuanbao's press, unable to move a muscle. I turned the blade to the black lump on the dragon's head and carved that out too, flesh included. "Stop it, stop." Zhang Hai's eyes were bloodshot, his face contorted with helpless rage. But at that exact moment, the space around us began to shift. The 3-hour trial was over. Every student was pulled out of the forest and deposited in the second stage trial arena. Back in the monitoring room, Principal Liu Yifeng stared at the last frozen frame of my feed with eyes full of admiration. Wu Yang uploaded the latest footage to Alliance headquarters. The trial's final rankings locked in with first place, Nanyang Middle School, Zhang Lin, 10,860 points. S rank. In second place, far below, Su Xiaoxiao, with just 2,600 points. Principal Liu's heart hammered as he stared at the name at the top of the screen. Nanyang City had just produced the Alliance's very first S rank. He was barely holding himself together. Before he could recover, the monitoring room door was kicked open. Governor Su Tinglan walked in. She fixed the principal with a direct stare. "What's the story with Jiang Lin? The Alliance headquarters won't stop calling me." Principal Liu gave a helpless laugh and laid out the whole story. Then he pointed to the frozen image on the monitor and said, "In over 60 years, I've never seen anything like that beast." Su Tinglan looked at the screen. "That turtle and black snake combination took down the Spineback Bear in a single move?" The principal said yes. Su Tinglan still couldn't quite believe it. A tier 5 turtle barely the size of a wash basin had leapfrogged and killed a tier 6 Spineback Bear. But the full truth would have to wait until the trial ended and she could ask in person. Pull up the second stage feed. Xuanbao and I stepped into a room less than 100 meters across. Every wall was made of boundary crystal. It was just the two of us. I tucked the reverse scale and dragon horn I'd carved off into my pocket. "Zhang Hai, with the abyssal flood dragon badly wounded, there's no way you're getting into Spark University now." The second stage was no longer about hunting monsters for points. It was about how long each student could survive against puppet attackers. Points accumulated the longer you lasted. I steadied myself and planted my feet. The stone door swung open. A trial puppet constructed from rock steel walked in. Tier, Bronze 2. It didn't pause for a second. It stepped right past Xuanbao and charged straight at me. Xuanbao, attack it. Xuanbao obeyed instantly, first using weighted pressure to slow it down, then releasing the yin abyss mist and dissolving the trial puppet into liquid metal. I stared at the pool of molten steel and drew a slow breath. The trial puppets didn't target the beast first. They went straight for the tamer. I stepped behind Xuanbao immediately. I was at Bronze Tier 5 now, but without awakened abilities, I was no different from an ordinary person. Tamers only unlock their innate abilities at the Diamond Tier. Before that, they were like anyone else in a fight. Then the stone door opened again. A more powerful puppet stepped out. Xuanbao moved first, wrapping me in a black tortoise domain to shield me from attack. The new puppet was forged from blazing rock. Name, Blaze Puppet, Tier, Bronze 3. It wasted no time. It raised its left arm, aimed directly at me, and fired 3 rapid blasts of flame. I had no time to react. Fortunately, Xuanbao's black tortoise domain. I walked away unharmed. 3 minutes passed. After the Bronze Tier 5 Thunder Puppet was destroyed, the next wave finally changed. I pressed my back against the wall and watched 2 new trial puppets enter through the stone door. A wood puppet and an earth puppet, both Bronze Tier 5. I kept moving, making sure to stay out of the puppet's reach. One hit and the trial would be over. Meanwhile, in the monitoring room, Governor Su Tinglan had finally witnessed what I was truly capable of, and I was no longer S rank. My score had surpassed 20,000. I had become the first SS rank on record. Su Tinglan's pupils contracted. She stared fixedly at the name on the screen. The last time an SS rank had appeared in the Spark Alliance was 2,000 years ago. Inside the trial space, I had cleared the mechanical challenges. 9 minutes in now, but I was running out of road. 10 Bronze Tier 5 trial puppets suddenly had their chess cores spinning furiously, elements merging and bleeding into one another. Then they fused into a single colossal composite puppet, 5 meters tall, shifting through every color of the spectrum. I didn't see that coming. I was floored. The giant composite puppet had leaped straight to Silver Tier. Xuanbao couldn't beat it. And sure enough, we lost in the end. Survival time locked at exactly 1,000 seconds. Final score, over 30,000 points. Rating, SS rank. Su Tinglan was too stunned to speak. She had never in her life heard of a score of 30,000 in the Spark Alliance trials. When the trial system was designed, the upper threshold had been set under the assumption that no one would ever break it, because surpassing it would require a beast of at least legendary grade, and not just any legendary grade at that. Su Tinglan suddenly remembered the powerful wave of energy that had swept through Nanyang City the day before. At the time, she had suspected a new interdimensional rift had opened. Now she thought she might have found her answer. At the same time, I stepped out of the trial space with Xuanbao and returned to the entrance. Most people had already left after finishing the second stage. There were only a handful of people still here, but the moment I stepped out, a screech of pure fury came from behind me. "I'll kill you!" It was Zhang Hai. With the Flood Dragon injured, he had lasted 3 seconds in the second stage before failing, and had been waiting at the entrance ever since. His trial score had fallen out of the top 1,000, stripping him of any chance at applying to Spark University. Zhang Hai's eyes were completely bloodshot. He pulled out a dagger and charged at me. I let out a cold laugh, drew my small blade, and flicked his dagger clean out of his hand. I knew this brother's fighting ability better than anyone. I said, "My dear little brother, you are absolutely hopeless." Zhang Hai stumbled to the ground. Hearing that, his long-buried fury ignited. He scrambled to charge again, when dozens of staff members appeared out of nowhere, cutting off Zhang Hai and surrounding me in a tight ring. The one in front looked at me with a grave expression. "The principal would like you to come to the monitoring room." I blinked. It seemed my performance had caught the principal's attention. I still didn't know my own score at this point. Surrounded by staff, I was guided away from the trial entrance. Just before I disappeared from view, I turned around. I looked down at Zhang Hai on the ground with cold, empty eyes. "You should count yourself lucky. If killing were allowed in the trial, your body would already be cold." I walked away without looking back. Zhang Hai's eyes were a web of broken capillaries, staring at the silhouette shrinking into the distance. He would have torn me apart with his bare hands if he could. The abyssal flood dragon lay at his side, clearly in critical condition. After all, I had taken its most vital parts, the reverse scale and the nascent horn. Lin Yating gripped Zhang Hai's hand. "Come with me. I'll take you to the best healer I can find." Zhang Hai's expression was dark and still. A single drop of blood-red tears trailed slowly from the corner of his eye. After a long silence, he said, "Yating, help me." Lin Yating nodded. "Jiang Lin, rest easy. Before the Spark University assessment, the Lin family will make him disappear for good." At that moment, the abyssal flood dragon came around, its purple-black pupils fixed on the direction I had gone, filled with hatred. Hatred that I had found a way to grow stronger and never told it. If I had, it would never have chosen that worthless Zhang Hai. Hatred that I had shown no regard for what we once were, and coldly carved out its scale and horn. Meanwhile, in the Nanyang Middle School monitoring room, I arrived with the staff escort. Principal Liu Yefeng stepped forward and gestured toward a striking woman. "This is Nanyang City Governor Su Tinglan." Then he gestured to a middle-aged man, his manner noticeably more deferential. "This is Chief Instructor Shu Zian, sent by the military district. He oversees the fairness of the beginner trials in every city." My pupils contracted sharply. That name resonated across every corner of the Spark Alliance. because Shu Xian was not only a sacred grade beast tamer, he was also the man who had won first place in the world challenge against the Dragonkin clan 10 years ago. I immediately gave a respectful bow. Governor, Chief Instructor. Shu Xian gave a slight nod, smiled, and helped me up. Your name has set the whole military headquarters buzzing. Congratulations on placing first in the entire alliance. SSS rank rating, total score over 30,000, first place alliance-wide. I was genuinely surprised. The results far exceeded anything I had expected. I hadn't imagined I would actually break an alliance record. Shu Xian clapped a hand on my shoulder. Because of you, both the alliance and the military's top leadership are in an uproar. Is it really that dramatic? I rubbed the back of my head and gave an awkward laugh. Then Shu Xian's expression turned serious. A number of major factions have already marked you as a threat, simply because you're the first SSS rank in alliance history. Where did this legendary grade initial beast of yours come from? My heart skipped a beat. Shu Xian had seen through it, though it made sense. He was a sacred grade tamer. It would be far more surprising if he hadn't recognized Xuanbao's legendary grade. I adjusted my expression quickly and said, I found Xuanbao while digging for wild vegetables in the southern outskirts. It was lying unconscious by a small stream. When I got there were still spatial ripples around it. Spatial ripples? Could it have been a subworld rift? The phrase surfaced in Shu Xian's mind immediately. This world had two kinds of rifts, world rifts and subworld rifts. World rifts connected to vast complete worlds with fully developed laws, such as the Dragonkin world, or the Charm Demon world that the Alliance was set to clash with this year. The vast majority of these other worlds were hostile to humanity, endlessly scheming to absorb the Alliance. So the Alliance had deployed its top forces to move all 36 world rifts to the border war zone, far beyond the protective wall. Subworld rifts, by contrast, connected to smaller, incomplete secret realms. High-tier ones could even serve as leverage in world challenges. Hearing my explanation, Shu Xian's first thought was that a legendary grade subworld rift had appeared. A rift of that tier was already a strategic class resource. I watched Shu Xian's expression and added, but the spatial ripples only lasted a few seconds before vanishing. I figured it was safe, so I went over and picked up Xuanbao. I patted the little turtle as I said it. Shu Xian's gaze went still. He had already worked out I was lying, but lying was fine. He hadn't expected a real answer to begin with. You're sharp. I won't dance around it then. My primary task here is to report your true situation back to headquarters. My second reason, I'm here on behalf of the military, and there's something important I need your help with. It concerns this year's World Challenge. I frowned. The World Challenge? Shu Xian said nothing more. He glanced sideways at Su Tinglan. Governor Su caught the cue immediately and stepped out with Principal Liu and Wu Yang. Now it was just Shu Xian and me in the monitoring room. He flicked his hand, and a soundproof barrier snapped into place around us. Shu Xian's voice was grave. This matter is extremely sensitive. It cannot leave this room. You already know our opponent in this year's challenge is the Charm Demon world. The Charm Demons are powerful, especially their skill in mental attacks. The Alliance's odds against them are very poor. I nodded. I had seen the news about the World Challenge online. Shu Xian projected a map of the Alliance's frontier and said, "We've lost 9 challenges in a row." Then he turned and looked directly at me, his expression hard. "If we lose again this year." Do you know what 10 consecutive defeats means? It means the Alliance must cede territory. I was stunned. I had no idea things had deteriorated this far. There had never been a precedent for it in recorded history. Shu Xian tilted his head back and closed his eyes. The minimum session would be a full city, including its native population. What would happen to those people? Shu Xian gave a bitter smile. The best outcome? A quick death. Otherwise they are capable of anything. My pupils shrank. It was even worse than I had imagined. A city's population is at least 5 million people. So, we absolutely cannot lose this challenge against the Charm Demon world. I gave a grave nod. I had no desire to see that outcome either. Shu Xian said, the Charm Demons' greatest advantage is their mental attacks. Our greatest weakness. We need to find something that can neutralize them. He pointed to a small marker on the map. This subworld rift near the Guardian Wall is currently producing steadfast binding steel, which can counter charm-type mental attacks. If we can secure high-quality steadfast binding steel, we can forge steadfast helmets and turn the tide for the Alliance. Then Shu Xian looked at me directly. I need you to go in and reach the core of this rift. Bring this subworld rift under Alliance control. I understood what he was asking, but I was only at Bronze Tier 5. Walking in there would be no different from walking into a grave. Shu Xian said, this rift is unusual. Only those at Bronze Tier 5 or below can enter. That makes you exactly right. I'll also be assigning 2 teammates to accompany you. This rift is extremely dangerous. Many have already failed. But you are the only SS rank we have. Only you can do this. Shu Xian gave a military salute. Win or lose, the military will honor the promise of one special attribute epic grade beast as your reward. The word reward got my attention. With a reward on the table, it was worth considering. And a Bronze Tier rift shouldn't be too dangerous. I could work with that. I said, actually, I don't really need an epic grade beast. Could you help me get these instead? I wrote down the materials Xuanbao needed to evolve. Yin Yang Chaos Fish, 10,000 Year Hollow Core, North Sea Sacred Water, and North Star Celestial Sand. Shu Xian's brow furrowed slightly. Of these, the only one I've personally encountered is the North Star Celestial Sand. It's a legendary tier material. We have it in the Alliance Vault. If you want it, I can file the request. It would count as your reward for this mission. I agreed without hesitation. Secure the North Star Celestial Sand first. The rest I'd track down later. Shu Xian said, there's no time to waste. We leave now. I'll have you back before the assessment in 7 days. Plenty of time. Then he grabbed me by the arm and walked straight out of the monitoring room. The door opened. Su Tinglan stepped forward, about to say something, and was cut off by a raised hand. Governor Su, whatever it is, it can wait until we're back. I'm borrowing this one. With that, Shu Xian summoned his hawk, slung me onto its back, and it spread its wings and took to the sky. It shot into the distance at the speed of lightning. It was my first time riding a flying beast at this kind of altitude. I adapted quickly. I looked down and checked the hawk's information. Name, Iron Forest Hawk. Grade, Immortal. Tier, Sovereign rank 10. My heart gave a quiet lurch. No less than what you'd expect from the legendary Chief Instructor Shu. At the same time, in the Lin family compound in Nanyang City, Lin Yating supported Jiang Hai as they both knelt on the floor. Dad, you have to help Jiang Hai. Lin Yating's father, Lin Duojin, sat in his chair, calmly sipping the last of his tea as though he hadn't heard a word. Lin Yating's panic rose. She snapped, Dad, if you don't help him, I'll kill myself right here. She reached into her clothes and pressed a sharp blade to her throat. Lin Duojin finally reacted. He said, that doesn't work on me. Then he turned a cold glance toward Jiang Hai kneeling on the floor and said, and you're a waste too. Hearing that, the fury that had been smoldering in Jiang Hai for so long ignited instantly. His eyes turned crimson. He snatched the blade from Lin Yating and pressed it to his own throat. Lin Duojin let out a cold laugh. I don't even bat an eye when my own daughter threatens to die. Why would I care about a completely worthless nobody? Jiang Hai didn't argue. His expression was calm as he spoke. I'm not trying to threaten you. I want to make a deal. Lin Duojin raised an eyebrow. His interest was piqued. He said, what kind of deal? Jiang Hai said, I'll trade my life for your involvement. Lin Yating lunged at him the moment the words left his mouth. No. She reached for the blade, only to be intercepted. A butler stepped forward quietly and escorted Lin Yating out of the room. Lin Duojin looked at Jiang Hai with flat, unreadable eyes. Your death isn't worth anything. Why would I make an enemy of an alliance rising star just for you? Jiang Hai smiled at the corner of his mouth. Because I know a secret about him. One you'll find very interesting. That turtle of his has an unknown origin, and it's almost certainly immortal grade. Jiang Hai raised his eyes to Lin Duojin. Whether I live or die doesn't matter. All I need is to spark your interest. Immortal grade was genuinely tempting, but the risk was real too. Lin Duojin said nothing. He simply watched. The blade pressed against Jiang Hai's throat and stopped. Lin Duojin's laughter filled the room. That secret of yours has my attention. As for a genius who hasn't yet had the chance to grow, he is of absolutely no importance. Kneeling on the floor, Jiang Hai lowered his head and smiled to himself, cold and quiet. Brother, this time, you're finished. Meanwhile, the Iron Forest Hawk moved fast. Before long, a barren, windswept plain came into view. I could barely make out anything through the haze of dust and sand below. This had to be the border war zone at the Alliance's frontier. Cross the Guardian Wall and the legendary 36 world rifts would be in sight. I could just barely make out faint lines blurred in the storm. Shu Xian didn't slow the hawk. He banked in a different direction and kept flying. This is a war zone, not a place to linger. I'm taking you straight to the subworld rift. An hour later, the Iron Forest Hawk touched down on a military base plaza at the subworld rift entrance. That was when I noticed that beside the soldiers positioned around the square, there were two young people, a young man and a young woman. Shu Xian said, this is Su Xiaoxiao, second place in the Alliance trials. And this is Lei Yang, third place. Shu Xian turned to introduce me to them and was cut off. Chief Instructor, no introduction needed. We know who he is. The first SS rank in the entire Alliance. Su Xiaoxiao's sharp eyes settled on me. I looked them over. Su Xiaoxiao had a small ice blue cat perched on her shoulder. That had to be her beast. We exchanged brief polite greetings and I instinctively checked the cat's information. Name, Ice Soul Spirit Cat. Grade, Immortal. Tier, Bronze 4. I turned to greet Lei Yang, who had come from the capital. His beast was a half-human height bear. Name, Thunder Prison Berserk Bear. Grade, Immortal. Tier, Bronze 4. No surprise they were second and third in the Alliance. Barely had the greetings finished when Lei Yang slanted a sideways look at me. There was skepticism in it. What did a nobody from some backwater place have to show for himself over me? He'd probably cheated his way up somehow. With Shu Xian standing right there, Lei Yang kept his mouth shut. I noticed all of it and said nothing. If Lei Yang kept his head down and did his job, we'd part ways after the mission without incident. But if he decided to cause problems, Xuanbao would be happy to teach him a lesson. I also made a new observation. Every beast here had only 2 starting skills. Xuanbao had 3. I scratched my chin and figured, probably because Xuanbao was a legendary grade initial beast. Just then, Xuanbao nudged its head gently against my palm, as if to say, don't worry, master. I'll beat all the bad people up. It had picked up on Lei Yang's attitude. I gave the little one's head an affectionate rub. Shu Xian waited until the group had finished and spoke again. You all still have the Spark University assessment in 7 days. Time is tight, and the stakes are high. We move out now. All 3 of us nodded, and followed Shu Xian's lead to a blue palace built entirely from spatial crystals. At its center, 10-meter-tall subworld rift flickered and pulsed, scattered fragments of space spitting out from its edges. Technicians worked at stations around the hall, fingers moving across keyboards to keep the space stable. Shu Xian walked us up to the rift and said, find the core of this subworld, and the rift falls under Alliance control. The 3 of us moved to step in, and Shu Xian stopped us. This rift has an unusual environment. The difficulty is extremely high. 8 teams have already gone in and failed. If you fail as well, the Alliance will have no choice but to prepare for a territorial concession. But don't put too much pressure on yourselves. Do what you can. He reached into his coat and held out 3 badges, 1 for each of us. If it comes to it, fall back. Shu Xian looked around at the 3 of us, Time is short. Get moving. I'll be here waiting for you to return victorious. Under the eyes of everyone in the hall, the three of us stepped into the subworld rift. Our figures disappeared at the center of the palace. Inside the subworld rift, the moment we stepped through, an overwhelming weightlessness dragged us downward. A full 100-meter drop. Below stretched an endless open sea. I caught Xuanbao's eye and gave a quick nod. A dark blue wave of water surged outward and wrapped around all three of us, lowering us to the surface of the sea with ease. Xuanbao's black tortoise domain lifted me up so I could walk on the water. Su Xiaoxiao's ice soul spirit cat, being an ice type, simply froze a small patch of water beneath them. She stepped right onto it. Only Lei Yang had nothing. He hit the water with a loud splash and thrashed wildly. "Help me, I can't swim." In the end, I couldn't watch anymore and had Xuanbao use the black tortoise domain to haul him out. Lei Yang's expensive clothes were soaked through. His thunder prison berserk bear's brown-blue fur was drenched as well. He sneezed and said, "Just because you saved me doesn't mean you'll get any thanks from me, country boy. I still don't believe someone like you actually earned an SS rank rating." Before I could say a word, Su Xiaoxiao had already had enough and cut in. "Lei Yang, do you have any idea how to talk to people? If he hadn't saved you, you'd be at the bottom of the ocean right now. Is this how you repay someone?" Lei Yang flushed red. He couldn't stand being labeled as ungrateful. He turned toward me, steeled himself, and bent at the waist. "Thank you. And I'm not an ungrateful person." I couldn't help but laugh. Enormous ego, but the stubbornness to match. Still, he didn't seem truly rotten, just kind of an idiot. I waved it off. "Get up. Let's move." The three of us headed toward the island in the distance, but before we'd taken more than a few steps, a wall of water 10 meters tall reared up without warning. The three of us had no time to react. We were swept under and pulled down to the ocean floor. Darkness. Not a trace of light. I frowned, looked up at the surface and felt a quiet wave of relief. At least Xuanbao's shield was holding. Otherwise, we'd already be drowning. I kept talking as I started climbing upward. Before long, Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao surfaced as well. Lei Yang had his shield, so he was fine, but Su Xiaoxiao's clothes were completely soaked. She hadn't brought a change of clothing. Just then, a shield closed around her and began drawing the water out of her clothes. In no time, they were dry. She turned to me with a sincere thank you. I waved it off without a second thought. Lei Yang had already pushed to the front and was urging us along. "Stop wasting time, let's move." The three of us walked across the water toward the island, keeping a watchful eye for any sign of another wave. Before long, we met our first round of monsters. 3 piranha about the length of an arm named Bloodthirsty Fish, Bronze Tier 3. I moved to act and was stopped. Lei Yang raised his chin and said, "I appreciate what you did back there, but that doesn't mean I accept your SSS rank. Let me handle this kind." "Lei Yang, you are unbelievable. And for the record, I never agreed to hand these 3 over to you." Su Xiaoxiao was ready to tear into him, but I held out a hand and stopped her. I looked at Lei Yang with an easy smile. "Sure, but Xuanbao only has 1 shield. Are you planning to go up there with your bear exposed?" Lei Yang froze. I was genuinely curious how someone with that much pride was going to handle this. After 30 seconds of silence, he said, "I'm 30% convinced you have SS rank strength. Put a shield on my bear too." I couldn't help laughing at him, but we'd already wasted enough time, and I had no interest in trading more words. Xuanbao gave a little shake of its head and wrapped the Thunder Prison Berserk Bear in the Black Tortoise domain. The bear thumped its chest and charged. No less than what you'd expect from the Alliance's 3rd place. The Thunder Prison Berserk Bear killed all 3 bloodthirsty fish in 3 strikes. 3 energy orbs rose from the carcasses and entered the bear. After that, no matter what monsters appeared, Lei Yang insisted on handling them all. But the rules of the secret realm were clear. The deeper you went, the stronger and more numerous the monsters became. 60% of the way in, we were now facing 5 Bronze Tier 5 monsters. Name: Deep Sea Giant Octopus, Tier Bronze 5. Staring down 5 Tier 5 octopuses, Lei Yang had nothing left to prove. His Thunder Prison Berserk Bear was only at Bronze Tier 4. He turned to Su Xiaoxiao. "My bear's getting tired. Help me take some of these." He glanced at me too, but couldn't bring himself to say anything. He had told me not long ago to stay in the back. Watching Lei Yang's face go red as he struggled with himself, I found the whole thing rather entertaining. "I'll take 3. You 2 split the other 2. I rolled up my sleeve and took 2 steps forward with Xuanbao, and Lei Yang immediately stepped in front of me. "Stop trying to be a hero, country boy. Just stay behind me. You are absolutely insufferable." Su Xiaoxiao had it, her cheeks puffed up with irritation. "You're nothing but a spoiled rich kid from the capital. The only reason you got an immortal grade beast is pure dumb luck." Then she turned to me. "Don't even listen to him. I believe in you." She rolled up her sleeve and looked ready to fight Lei Yang on the spot. I was genuinely taken aback. Su Xiaoxiao was something else. I rushed to hold her back. "We're running out of time. Let's get through this first and argue later." I patted Xuanbao's head. "Xuanbao, your turn. Hold down those 3 deep-sea giant octopuses." At my command, Xuanbao raised one wide forelimb and brought it down hard on the surface of the water. Deep-sea pressure activated. The 3 nearby octopuses froze mid-attack, their entire bodies locked in place. I blinked in surprise. When had Xuanbao's abyssal pressure gotten this strong? I looked more carefully and noticed a current of blue water vapor swirling around Xuanbao. It was receiving a water element boost from the environment. On top of that, a moment later, Xuanbao opened both mouths and exhaled a cloud of dark blue mist. The mist swallowed one of the deep-sea giant octopuses. A shriek rang out, and the octopus dissolved into powder and sank into the sea. I followed up with the next command: "Attack the second octopus." The octopus wasn't about to sit still and take it. It launched a tentacle thrust, driving its long arms forward. Every strike was blocked by Xuanbao's black tortoise domain. In under a minute, the last two deep-sea giant octopuses were corroded to powder by the yin abyss mist. Xuanbao jumped straight to bronze tier 6. On the other side, the other fight had ended as well. The Thunder Prison Berserk Bear and the Ice Soul Spirit Cat had both advanced to bronze tier 5. I stood up, looked at Lei Yang with an expression somewhere between a smile and a smirk. This area is clear. Let's keep going. Lei Yang gave a full-body shiver. Jiang bro, why don't you take the lead? I laughed. You didn't believe my SSS rank was real before. Do you believe it now? Su Xiaoxiao chimed in right behind me. Lei Yang's face puffed up indignantly. Don't ever bring that up again. Seeing the two of them about to go at it again, I cut in. Alright, let's find the subworld core. The three of us walked toward the island, and before long we were less than 500 meters away. I finally got a clear look at it. It wasn't small, roughly 2 kilometers across, with not a single tree in sight. The entire island was made of iron ore. The moment my gaze landed on it, the information materialized in my mind. Steadfast binding steel mine. Quality, ordinary to immortal. High malleability, lightweight, highly effective at blocking charm-type mental attacks. Dense reefs surrounded the island on all sides, and a thin veil of energy light blanketed the whole thing. That was enough to confirm it. The subworld core was here. We started toward the island. Then the entire sea surface began to ripple. The next moment, those densely packed reefs started to move. Crimson eyes opened across their surfaces. I threw out my arm and stopped the others. Wait, those reefs are all monsters. The reefs rose slowly out of the water. They were a pack of giant crocodiles, at least 30 by rough count, and behind the pack an even larger and more powerful alpha. I read the information on the pack. Name, Cold-Blood Croc Fiend. Tier, Bronze 6. I fixed my gaze on the alpha. The information surfaced. Name, Cold-Blood Croc King. Grade, Immortal. Tier, Bronze 8. My pupil snapped tight. This was my first time facing an immortal grade monster. Lei Yang fell back to my side. Jiang bro, why does that big crocodile's aura feel so much like my bear's? I nodded. Your instinct is right. Same as the Thunder Prison Berserk Bear. Immortal grade, Bronze 8. 3 full tiers above the Thunder Prison Berserk Bear. Lei Yang swallowed hard. Jiang bro, can you handle it? Su Xiaoxiao looked over too. Neither of them had any hope of beating the Cold-Blood Croc King. They were putting everything on me now. I wasn't certain myself. Xuanbao had beaten monsters 2 tiers above before, but the Cold-Blood Croc King was different. It was 2 tiers above the rare grade Spineback Bear. Xuanbao at Bronze Tier 6 might not be able to take down a Bronze Tier 8 immortal grade monster. I said, I'll try, but can you two deal with the rest of the pack? That's 30 of them, Lei Yang answered immediately. We'll do everything we can to keep them off you. I nodded, and charged toward the pack with Xuanbao, heading straight for the Cold-Blood Croc King. Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao moved too, clearing every obstacle in our path. Xuanbao launched the Yin Abyss Mist and leaped to face the Cold-Blood Croc King. The Black Tortoise domain blocked a tail lash attack. Then both mouths exhaled a cloud of dark blue mist that enveloped the Croc King. After using the Yin Abyss Mist, Xuanbao immediately fell back to my side. I frowned. The mist cleared. The Cold-Blood Croc King was still standing. Aside from a few small holes eaten into its tail, it had taken no real damage. That's what immortal grade gets you. This is going to be a problem. I gave a rueful smile and moved to stop Xuanbao from charging back in. Xuanbao tilted its head and looked up at me, confused. Master, why won't you let me go? I can beat it. I crouched down and said quietly, Xuanbao, your only attack skill is the Yin Abyss Mist, and it's not working on the Croc King. Xuanbao started to protest and I cut it off gently. Don't rush. There are plenty of cold-blood croc fiends around us. Let's use them to level up first, then deal with the Croc King. Xuanbao's eyes lit up. It looked at me with pure admiration. Master, you're so smart. I gave Xuanbao's head a stroke, stood up, and called back to the others. Su Xiaoxiao, Lei Yang, hold the cold-blood Croc King. I'm taking Xuanbao to level up. The two of them stopped and moved to my side immediately. Go ahead, Jiang bro. My bear can't beat that crocodile, but we can stall it for a bit. Su Xiaoxiao said nothing, already directing her Ice Soul Spirit Cat to intercept the Croc King. I nodded and turned, diving into the pack of croc fiends with Xuanbao. At equal tier, Xuanbao moved through the pack like a force of nature. Abyssal sea pressure triggered. Every croc fiend within range froze in place, completely immobilized. Then Xuanbao opened both mouths and released the Yin Abyss Mist. The croc fiends dissolved into dry bone on the spot. Energy orbs streamed into Xuanbao's head one after another. After 5 cold-blood croc fiends fell, Xuanbao finally broke through to Bronze Tier 7, and the weight of its presence grew. This pack was essentially a bottomless well of experience. But just then, an enormous wave surged across the entire sea surface. 10 meters tall, I shouted a warning to Xuanbao, my expression tight with alarm. But Xuanbao moved as if it hadn't heard me at all, charging headlong into the wave. In an instant, Xuanbao was swallowed by it. I was about to rush in after it when Su Xiaoxiao grabbed my arm. Xuanbao's fine. It's triggered an elemental resonance. I forced myself calm, because I saw it. After the wave swallowed Xuanbao, it had formed into a perfect sphere of water. Elemental resonance. I had no memory of ever encountering that concept. When she saw me settle down, Su Xiaoxiao watched the water sphere surrounding Xuanbao, her eyes full of envy. Elemental resonance is when a beast connects deeply with its environment in a special setting. It doubles attack power. My pupils shrank sharply. Elemental resonance was that powerful? Su Xiaoxiao continued. Only immortal grade beasts or above have even a small chance of triggering it. Each time it's triggered, it leaves an elemental imprint that raises the odds of triggering it again. Xuanbao is water type, right? I nodded. That fits. Plenty of tamers never trigger elemental resonance even at the sovereign level. Xuanbao triggered it at bronze rank. Just sell Xuanbao to me, and I'll introduce you to my older sister. Deal? My eyes went wide. I stared at Su Xiaoxiao in disbelief. She was actually trying to trade her sister. Although, is your sister good looking? Just then, the wave sphere started to dissolve. Thread-like streams of seawater coiled around Xuanbao's body like water serpents. Then Lei Yang's howl came ripping across the water. Jiang bro, hurry up, I can't hold on much longer. I rushed back to the Cold-Blood Croc King with Xuanbao at my side. The Thunder Prison Berserk Bear and Ice Soul Spirit Cat had both taken heavy damage under the Croc King's assault. I told Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao to call their beasts back. Xuanbao, are you ready? Xuanbao's eyes blazed. It had been burning to test its new strength and could barely contain itself. Master, Xuanbao is ready. Xuanbao, go. This time, turn that crocodile to bone. At my command, Xuanbao charged straight at the Cold-Blood Croc King. Its front claw came down, triggering the abyssal sea pressure instantly, dragging down the enemy's speed. The Croc King saw it coming and lunged to bite, and couldn't even break through the water shield of the Black Tortoise domain. Xuanbao seized its moment and released a cloud of dark blue mist to envelop the Croc King. A soul-shattering roar rose from inside the mist. When it cleared, all that was left on the sea surface was a heap of crocodile bones. Lei Yang's jaw dropped. His pupils contracted sharply. A thought crashed into his mind. Could Xuanbao be legendary grade? He watched me scratch Xuanbao under the chin, wanting to ask but not quite daring. Good work, Xuanbao. The water serpent currents that had coiled around Xuanbao dissipated now that the fight was over. Elemental resonance had ended. With the Cold-Blood Croc King dead, the rest of the pack scattered and fled into the sea. I looked at the island, now right in front of us. Let's go, we're heading up. In the last few hundred meters, we didn't encounter a single monster. The Cold-Blood Croc King had been the final obstacle. Once on the island, I gave the steadfast binding steel, visible everywhere underfoot, a knock. This must be what the chief instructor kept emphasizing. Lei Yang picked up a fragment and held it up. Right, let's find the subworld core, and fast. I headed toward the island's center with Xuanbao. There was nothing on the island beyond steadfast binding steel. At the very center, I found an enormous mineshaft. The higher quality steadfast binding steel was further inside. I bent down and peered in. There it was, gleaming blue crystals at the bottom. The energy light that had encased the entire island was emanating from them. Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao came up beside me, looking down at the crystals. Let's grab the core and get out of here. I nodded and was about to drop down when Lei Yang stopped me. Jiang bro, let me. You wait up here. He dropped down before I could respond. I smiled and let him go. Someone else doing the work for me. I wasn't about to complain. A moment later, Lei Yang climbed back up and held out a blue crystal. I took the subworld core and was about to read its information when the crystal blazed with light and enveloped all three of us. Before I could react, a distant, resonant voice sounded in my ear. Secret Realm trial complete. Beginning final assessment. Final rating Jiang Lin, SS rank. Lei Yang, S rank. Su Xiaoxiao, S rank. A beam of light descended from above, and all three of us were bathed in a blazing golden column. 3 items materialized in front of me, and a mechanical tone chimed. Obtained Sacred Water Blessing Necklace, Legendary Grade. Obtained Lifespring Formula, Legendary Grade. Obtained Energy Fruit, Legendary Grade. 2 items appeared before Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao. Obtained Charm Resist Helmet, Epic Grade. Obtained Energy Fruit, Epic Grade. I reached into the light column and took out the 3 items, letting my gaze settle on the water blue necklace. Name, Sacred Water Blessing Necklace. Effect, increases water-type skill damage by 50% when worn by a legendary grade beast. I was thrilled. With this necklace going 2 tiers above would be almost effortless. Not bad for an SSS rank reward. The other 2 rewards were easy enough to understand from the names. Life Spring Formula can be used to craft a legendary grade Life Spring. Fully restores all injuries sustained by a legendary grade beast. The other was a fruit that looked just like a white peach. Consuming it below silver tier raises the beast's tier by 2. If Xuanbao, already at tier 7, ate this, it would jump straight to tier 9. I picked up the energy fruit and turned to Xuanbao. Then I broke it in 2, holding one half up to the little turtle and the other to the black serpent. Xuanbao was practically drooling. They bit down and devoured both halves in one go. The moment it was swallowed, their tiers shot upward like a roller coaster, 2 full levels, and locked in at bronze tier 9. My own tier reached bronze 9 as well. I laughed out loud with pure excitement. I took out the Sacred Water Blessing Necklace and fastened it around Xuanbao's neck. Xuanbao's presence sharpened instantly. I stood up. Now that I had the Life Spring formula, I could try brewing Life Spring and selling it. From what I remembered, cultivation elixirs of that caliber fetched terrifying prices. At the same time, Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao had already divvied up their rewards. After eating the epic energy fruit, the Thunder Prison Berserk Bear and Ice Soul Spirit Cat advanced to bronze tier 6. Seeing that everyone was ready, I walked over to the 2 of them. Mission complete, let's head back. I raised the subworld core ready to initiate the transfer, and was cut off by Lei Yang. He shifted from foot to foot, face going red. Jiang bro, if you ever make it to the capital, you have to come find me. Su Xiaoxiao turned to him. Are you serious right now? Jiang bro is going to Spark University too. You'll see him there. What, are you planning to drop out? Lei Yang was completely stumped. He scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Right, then I'll see you at Spark University, Jung bro. I was genuinely laughing now. I nodded. See you at Spark University. And with that, the three of us vanished from the island. At the same time, inside the spatial palace, the blue screen blazed to life in gold. What's the rank of this rift? Chuzian took a slow breath and turned to the palace supervisor. Bronze immortal grade. An immortal grade rift? Chuzian's pulse jumped. He reined in his excitement and immediately pulled out his phone, dialing an encrypted line. A middle-aged man's voice came from the other end. Chang Kong's secret realm has been secured by the Alliance. Mobilize the full force of the Great Wall Army to guard the Guardian Wall at once. Watch the Charmed Demon faction's movements especially closely. Shu Xian ended the call, expression grave. The secret realm had been brought under Alliance control. The Charmed Demons would know before long. The world challenge this year was still between the Alliance and the Charmed Demons. They would stop at nothing to destroy this realm. Steadfast binding steel was a fatal counter to everything they had. Four figures burst through the palace entrance. Follow me to defend the Guardian Wall. Shu Xian's voice boomed. He turned and strode out of the palace. The subworld rift flickered. Bathed in golden light, the three of us stepped back into the spatial palace. I looked around. Where's the chief instructor? The palace supervisor jogged over. You actually made it out. The Charmed Demons are stirring again outside the Guardian Wall. The chief instructor has already gone to help. Before he left, he gave instructions. Someone will escort you back. As for the reward he promised, it'll have to wait until after the chief instructor returns. He'll bring it to you at Spark University. I nodded. I wasn't in any immediate hurry for the North Star Celestial Sand. I handed the subworld core to the supervisor. He took it, then waved toward the door. 3 soldiers filed in, assigned to escort the 3 of us back. Once I was back, I headed straight for the hotel. I had just reached my room and turned the handle when a hand came down on it from behind, with tremendous force. I tensed and snapped away. Neither Xuanbao nor I had sensed anyone behind us. I looked hard at the owner of that hand. A young man in his early 20s, wearing glasses. Xuanbao let out a low growl and launched toward him. I held out my arm. Xuanbao, wait. I looked at the man with cold, guarded eyes. Who are you? Why are you following me this late at night? The man stepped aside, revealing what stood behind him. A black spider, roughly half a man's height. I instinctively read its information. Name, lethal spider. Grade, excellent. Tier, silver 1. My stomach dropped. That spider was silver tier. I was about to ask more questions when the man reached up, adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and smiled pleasantly. Jianglin, isn't it? My name is Bai Zinan. I've been sent by someone to give you a little lesson. I put distance between us immediately. This Bai Zinan had not come in good faith, and he was apparently a silver tier tamer. Whether Xuanbao could handle this was another question. Bai Zinan removed his white glove and stroked the lethal spider's head. You made an enemy you shouldn't have. But don't worry, I was told not to take your life. Just put you down badly enough that you can't sit the assessment. I gripped my fist tighter and worked to smother the fury building inside me. I needed to draw out more information. Find out who Bai Zinan was working for. Because even if I made it out tonight, I'd spend the rest of the time being hunted. I forced myself calm and combed through every memory I had. I couldn't think of anyone powerful I had crossed before. Who could have sent someone after me? Besides Jiang Hai, no one else should harbor this much hatred toward me. And I had only arrived back in Nanyang a few minutes ago. No one should have known my movements. Yet Bai Zinan had found me immediately, which meant whoever was behind him held serious power. In Nanyang, the only people with that reach were Governor Su Tinglan and a handful of major family factions. My chest went cold. I thought I knew who it was. The Lin family, though it was still only a guess. I stared hard at Bai Zinan. I know who sent you. It was the Lin family, wasn't it? Bai Zinan's expression froze. His eyes shifted away. He rubbed his hands together, touched his nose. The micro-expressions I used to read from psychology books during class were coming in useful after all. My question had rattled him completely. He thought, how did he figure that out? My goddess Shuer is still in the Lin family's hands. If he hands the Lins over to the governor, Shuer will be in danger. I can't let him walk away. Bai Zinan's composed manner vanished. His expression twisted with rage. He pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up, his eyes filled with killing intent. He called out, bloodthirst, assault. The lethal spider's 2 front legs were suddenly soaked in fresh blood. At the command, it exploded toward me. I let out a cold laugh, so the man had finally cracked. Watching the lethal spider closing in, I called out quickly to Xuanbao. Use the black tortoise domain, now! Xuanbao shot in front of me, and a wave of dark blue water rose to form a tight shield. Streams of water serpents coiled and circled across its surface, the effect of the sacred water blessing necklace. The lethal spider was fast. It reached Xuanbao almost instantly, and its blood-soaked forelegs punctured straight through the shield. But Xuanbao held the attack off just enough. Bai Zinan's pupils contracted sharply. He drew a sharp breath. That turtle was only bronze tier 9, and it had held off the lethal spider's bloodthirst assault. That was more than 2 full tiers of difference. Bai Zinan felt like the whole world had lost its logic. I was tense too. Silver tier was no joke. 1 skill, and the black tortoise domain had been broken. Against a bronze tier opponent, Xuanbao could one-shot excellent grade beasts 2 tiers up without even wearing the necklace. But against silver tier, even with the necklace, I had no certainty of winning. Still, I only needed to stall. The noise here was significant. The hotel would notice soon. Once I called for backup, there would be nowhere for Bai Zinan to run. Bai Zinan clearly understood this too. He had to finish the job fast. Lethal spider, go again. Use 1000 force thrust. Finish him. Bai Zinan's face had twisted into something unrecognizable. Nothing left of the polished young man from before. The lethal spider took the command and launched itself into the air, all 8 legs erupting outward, driving straight for Xuanbao. Xuanbao's front hooves stomped the ground hard, a sound like water being struck underfoot. Abyssal sea pressure flooded the battlefield. The lethal spider felt an immense weight crash onto it mid-air and plummeted straight down, its speed gutted. I hadn't expected Xuanbao's abyssal sea pressure to be this devastating. Even a silver-tier beast buckled under it. Xuanbao, now, use the Yin Abyss mist. At my command, Xuanbao opened its small mouth. A cloud of dark blue mist swept down and swallowed the grounded lethal spider. I watched the mist with tight eyes. No shriek came. When the mist cleared, where the spider had been, there was now a white cocoon wrapped in dense webbing. The lethal spider had spun itself into a silk cocoon before the mist reached it. The Yin Abyss mist couldn't dissolve webbing. Well played, lethal spider. Bai Zinan let out a breath of relief. Still, a bronze tier 9 turtle had pushed a silver tier beast this far. That was beyond anything he'd imagined. He stared at me with cold fury and raised his hand to order another attack. Then a shout thundered from the stairwell at the end of the corridor. Stop! Don't move! In an instant, over 10 soldiers streamed in and surrounded Bai Zinan. The narrow hotel hallway filled to bursting. Bai Zinan thought, it's over. Then a woman's voice came from the stairs. Flat, utterly calm. Someone has the nerve to cause trouble in my jurisdiction. It seems they've grown tired of living. I recognized the voice and turned. Governor Su Tinglan appeared slowly at the top of the stairs. I hadn't expected the governor herself to come. With Su Tinglan here, there was a real chance of uncovering who had been directing Bai Zinan. Su Tinglan walked up beside me, fixed her eyes on Bai Zinan, and asked with ice in her voice, who is behind this? When Bai Zinan saw Su Tinglan, his heart stopped. He knew he was finished. But before he had ever set out, he had prepared a way out in case he was caught. His eyes locked on me. The next moment, the lethal spider tore free and drove its blood-soaked forelegs directly into Bai Zinan's heart. Bai Zinan crumpled to the floor. Seconds later, his heart stopped. The lethal spider lost its breath the instant its master died. I frowned. This made things difficult. With Bai Zinan dead, there was no evidence to tie anything to the Lin family. Thinking of Jiang Hai made me want to go after him then and there. I hadn't expected the Lin family to go this far, sending someone to kill me for his sake. But after tonight, Jiang Hai and the Lins wouldn't dare make another move for a while, and in 2 days I would be heading to Spark University for the assessment. The next chance for revenge would have to wait until after I got back. Jiang Hai, dear little brother. Fine then. I'll let you enjoy a little more time. The Bai Zinan situation was over. Su Tinglan took me straight to the governor's office. I arrived, threw myself down, and finally slept properly. Since arriving in this world, it had been one thing after another. The beginner trial, the battlefield, the secret realm. The next morning I followed the housekeeper to the dining room and took a seat. Su Tinglan looked up as I came in, her expression somewhere between amused and neutral. Sleep well last night? I nodded. Very well. She watched me eat and said, you look calm, confident about tomorrow's entrance assessment? I paused and thought for a moment. Still nervous, I think. Anyone would be. But if it's just combat, I'm fairly confident. Su Tinglan let out a quiet laugh. The entrance assessment is not just combat. You won't get first place on fighting alone. I blinked and turned toward her. First place requires more than just battle performance. A qualified beast tamer needs to be exceptional in combat, yes, but also in adaptability, secondary professions, and overall balance. I was thoroughly confused and was about to ask what she meant. Then her phone rang. She answered, What? That rift is acting up again? Su Tinglan shot to her feet, expression sharp with anger. Lock down the area, I'm on my way. She ended the call, jaw tight. She looked at me. Take the day for yourself. I have something to deal with. I nodded. Is it that new subworld rift in Nanyang? That's the one? Su Tinglan pinched the bridge of her nose at the thought. Half a year gone, and they still hadn't secured it, and now it was erupting. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the dining room. I watched her disappear without speaking. I had heard about that rift in Nanyang. It had appeared last year, but had never been brought under control. Supposedly, it had already reached diamond grade. The next morning, Su Tinglan returned looking haggard and said nothing. She summoned her flying beast, a flower spirit bird, and we departed Nanyang City toward the capital. 4 of us from Nanyang Middle School were sitting the assessment. They were technically from my school, but I didn't know any of them. I moved beside Su Tinglan and asked quietly, Governor Su, how did it go with the rift? She rubbed at her aching temple and let out a tired sigh. The eruption is contained, for now, but the difficulty of bringing it under control has jumped another level because of it. I sighed too. Diamond grade. Even if I wanted to help, there wasn't anything I could do. 3 hours later we arrived in the capital, the Alliance's heart. Su Tinglan dropped us at the Spark University entrance and left in a hurry. The few of us who had come together went our separate ways. The assessment was individual, so there was no need to find teammates. Then a familiar voice came from behind. Su Xiaoxiao was walking over. Jiang bro, long time no see. She turned and pulled a middle-aged man forward, easily 2 meters tall, built like a wall of muscle. She dragged him in front of me with a bright grin. Jiang bro, this is my dad, Su Yongshan. I greeted him immediately. Hello, Mr. Su. Su Yongshan smiled, carrying an air of easy authority. So you're the Alliance Trial's top scorer. You're a friend of Xiaoxiao's. Let me give you a word of advice. The Spark University assessment is a different beast from what you went through in Nanyang. Points alone won't carry you past everyone. Even if they could, You would still need to give everything you have just to compete for first place. I nodded, expression steady. Both Su Tinglan and Su Yongshan were warning me this assessment was not simple. Whatever was coming, the weight of it pressed down on me more with each passing moment. Su Xiaoxiao let out an exasperated huff at her father. There you go, scaring people again. Su Yongshan said, that's all I'll say. Good luck in the assessment, both of you. Then he turned and left without another word. At that moment, an excited shout rang out from behind. Jiang bro, I missed you so much. Lei Yang came jogging over and threw his arms around me. Young Master Lei, is this the legendary Jiang bro you keep talking about? The speaker looked like another wealthy young man from a privileged background. Over a dozen followers stood behind him, all the same type. Lei Yang turned and made introductions. This is the Alliance's #1 SS rank, Jiang bro. Then he turned to me. This is Wu Aoqian. His family owns the Wanhai Beast Hall in the capital. He is also my companion in the capital. I said nothing. I had already noticed, the moment Wu Aoqian's group appeared, that every one of them was looking at me with contempt. I extended my hand to greet him and watched Wu Aoqian twist his mouth. SSS rank. Quite the shiny title. But Spark University is full of pitiful nobodies who crawled in from the backwaters just like you. You actually think you can place first looking like that? Wu Aoqian's tone was heavy with arrogance. Before I could respond, Lei Yang's fury got there first. Wu Aoqian, what is wrong with you? His eyes turned hard as he challenged Wu Aoqian directly. Jiang Lin is someone even the chief instructor Shu Xian praised. Are you seriously trying to question the chief instructor Shu Xian's judgment? Wu Aoqian clearly hadn't expected Lei Yang to flip on him over someone like me. In this circle of wealthy heirs, Wu Aoqian was indisputably the one on top. Lei Yang, I can't believe you're talking to me like this. So getting third in the alliance has gone to your head. Not that it matters. Even if Jiang Lin really placed first, who knows what dirty tricks he pulled. And even if he's genuinely talented, so what? The alliance is littered with half-baked prodigies who never make it. Lei Yang's eyes went red. He was ready to argue back, and I raised my hand to stop him. You're Wu Aoqian from the Wanhai Beast Hall in the capital. I flashed a polished smile, not the slightest bit angry. Wu Aoqian met my calm, steady eyes and felt something twitch inside him, though he brushed it off. What? You disagree? You want to say something? I shook my head with a cold smile. That's what the weak do when they have nothing better. I don't stoop that low. I have just one question for you. Are you done talking? Because if you are, I'd appreciate it if you got out of my way. You're blocking me. The followers behind Wu Aoqian couldn't sit still any longer. Aoqian bro, who does this guy think he is? I can't take it. Let me go teach him a lesson. I looked at the group sizing up to fight and let out a cold laugh. A pack of idle rich kids with no ambition. Xuan Bao alone could take the lot of them. Fortunately, Wu Aoqian was smart enough. He held his followers back with a raised hand, fixed his gaze on me, then turned and walked away with his entourage. Just then, a deep, resonant bell rang out. The Spark University assessment had officially begun. A middle-aged man stepped out from within the school. Dark glasses, radiating a cold, commanding presence. Every voice in the crowd fell silent at once. My name is Bai Feng. I am the chief examiner for this assessment. His voice wasn't loud, but it reached every ear clearly. Time's up, follow me, no further words. Bai Feng turned and walked back into the university. All 1,000 candidates followed without a word. Tension hung thick in the air. After more than half an hour of walking, we arrived at the assessment site, a large plaza. 9 fighting stages had been erected around the perimeter. Strangely, a student was already standing on each one. Fighting stages? Are we supposed to compete against each other for rankings? Bai Feng had already ascended to the observation platform. First round, combat assessment. But you won't be fighting each other. See those people on the stages? Those are your seniors from last year's class. They are the 9 stage champions for round 1. You may challenge any one of them. Survive 3 minutes without losing, and you pass. The stage champions will suppress their own tier during the assessment to ensure none of them exceed silver rank. From strongest to weakest, they are ranked 1 through 9. The stronger the stage champion you challenge, the more points you earn for a successful challenge. Bai Feng finished and swept his gaze across the crowd. It landed on me and paused. The Alliance's first ever SS rank, is it? I hope you can give us something worth watching. Bai Feng gave a cold laugh. A light wind stirred beneath his feet, and he stepped directly into the air, sailing away toward the far end of the school grounds. 1,000 stunned students stared after him. He had just flown. I watched him go. Airborne movement put him at awakened rank at minimum. This was Spark University, the top school in the entire alliance. Their examiner alone held awakened level strength. After Bai Feng's departure, I didn't rush. I wanted to see what choices other people made first. Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao held back too. The 3 of us stood quietly, listening to the conversations around us. Then one student walked up to stage 5 and pressed his hand to the control panel. A beam of blue light wrapped around him. When he opened his eyes, he was standing on the stage. Student Niu Sanxiang challenges stage 5. 3-minute time limit. Assessment begins. An electronic screen appeared above the stage. The challenge unfolded clearly on screen. I looked through the monitor at both beasts. Niu Sanxiang's was a small yellowish-brown bull, roughly half a man's height. I instinctively read its information. Name, Riverwalker Yellow Bull. Tier, Bronze 5. Then I looked at the stage champion's beast. Name, Moon Knight Wolf King. Tier, Silver 1, suppressed a Bronze 6. I was certain Niu Sanxiang was going to lose. That bull would be lucky to last a minute, let alone 3. My gaze lingered on the stage champion for a moment. Spark University only admitted 200 students per year from the entire alliance. How many people could even survive an assessment like this? I had no doubt that epic grade was the bare minimum for anyone who made it in. On stage, the two combatants skipped pleasantries and went straight to fighting. The result was exactly what I expected. The Riverwalker Yellow Bull was completely outclassed by the Moon Knight Wolf King. In under half a minute, the bull was covered in wounds. The Wolf King, by contrast, looked entirely unbothered. After landing the final blow, it settled back leisurely beside its tamer. "Get up, Yellow Bull!" Niu Sanxiang screamed at his beast to get back up and keep fighting. But the Yellow Bull had already lost consciousness from its injuries, and Niu Sanxiang's assessment had come to its end. The stage champion shook her head and let out a sigh. He reached into her pocket and handed the bull a vial of recovery medicine. "You've lost." Before the words had fully landed, Niu Sanxiang and the Yellow Bull were bathed in golden light and reappeared outside the stage. The plaza went quiet. No one spoke. I looked over at Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao. "Made up your minds?" Lei Yang answered first. "I'm going for stage 3. Stage 3, bronze tier 8. Lei Yang's Thunder Prison Berserk Bear was at bronze tier 7, with immortal grade quality. It should be enough. Su Xiaoxiao made the same choice, stage 3 as well. "Jiang bro, what about you?" My gaze settled on stage 1, closest to the observation platform. I said calmly, "Jay want to choose that one." Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao's eyes went wide. "Are you serious, Jiang bro?" I nodded. Xuanbao was already at bronze tier 9. Challenging a tier 9 stage champion would be pointless. Might as well aim for tier 10. Even if I couldn't win, surviving 3 minutes would be no problem. If that's the decision, let's go. "Jiang bro, you go first. Su Xiaoxiao and I will observe from below." I gave a resigned nod. "Alright, I'm up first." And I walked straight toward the stage at the far corner of the plaza. As I got closer, people around started to notice. "Look at that. Where's he going? He's challenging stage 1. Is he trying to get himself killed? Stage 1 is bronze tier 10. That's impossible to win." "What do you mean impossible? Some of you don't have the guts to try, that's all. I believe in him. That's the Alliance's first SS rank." Before long, every eye in the plaza was on me. Wu Weioxian spotted it too and pushed through the crowd with his entourage. "Isn't that the country boy? What is this, a joke? He's seriously trying to challenge stage 1? Even Wu Weioxian clearly hadn't expected this from me. He sneered. "People from backwaters like that always care too much about appearances. Let's watch him embarrass himself." I ignored every pair of eyes around me. I pressed my hand to the control panel below the stage. The next moment, golden light swept over me. When I opened my eyes, Xuanbao and I were standing on stage 1. The stage champion guarding stage 1 was a white-haired young man, carrying an air of unmistakable refinement. He bowed politely. "My name is Jin Zixuan. I'm the guardian of stage 1. He had the ease of someone born into privilege. I introduced myself quickly, but in that moment I caught a flicker of disgust pass through his eyes. Neither of us bothered with further pleasantries. Both gave a nod, and the fight began. Jin Zixuan summoned his beast. It was a small bird with feathers white as snow. On its head was a single thread-thin golden feather, catching the light in a way that made it impossible to miss. I instinctively read its information. Name, Snowdown Goldthread Finch. Tier, Silver 3 suppressed to Bronze 10. I reached out and touched Xuanbao's head. "Xuanbao, ready? Go." Jin Zixuan moved first, taking the initiative. "Snowrong, use Snowfield Storm." Snowrong, the Goldthread Finch, soared to 10 meters above the stage. Its pristine white wings beat against the air. A 5-meter storm took shape. The force behind it was immense. Before it even reached us, the winds it churned up made it hard to stand steady. The storm didn't pause. It tore straight toward Xuanbao. Xuanbao's body tensed. A ring of water blue rippled outward. The black tortoise domain snapped into place. Jin Zixuan stood at the edge of the stage, watching the thin layer of shimmer around Xuanbao. He gave a cold laugh. "You really think that flimsy paper shield is going to stop Snowrong's Snowfield Storm? If you dared to challenge me, you should be prepared to pay for it." In an instant, the Snowfield Storm and Xuanbao collided. A tremendous gale swept across the plaza. When it died down, every eye locked on the stage. What they saw stunned everyone. That strange turtle-snake combination had actually blocked the attack. How is that possible? Jin Zixuan's pupils slammed shut, but the facts were right in front of him. An epic-grade bronze tier 10 Snowdown Goldthread Finch might not even be able to survive Xuanbao's assault, let alone defeat it, because Xuanbao was legendary grade, 2 full-quality tiers above. Jin Zixuan let his anger break into a hard laugh. "This year's new students are really something, aren't they? I might have ranked last in my year, but I'm still not someone you raw recruits can afford to ignore. Snowrong, don't let up. Use Goldthread Execution." I watched the Finch soar back to height and kept my eyes steady. That last Snowfield Storm had already shown me everything I needed to know about Jin Zixuan's limits. In my mind, Xuanbao's victory was only a matter of time. So why not let it train a little longer? Fighting a flying-type beast was a rare opportunity. This time, as Snowrong climbed into the air, the golden feather on its head stood straight, like an arrowhead. Then the Finch dove. The golden tip aimed directly at the black serpent coiled on Xuanbao's back. The outcome was the same. The moment the golden thread touched the black tortoise domain, it met something like solid stone and shattered apart. Xuanbao didn't have a single mark on its shell. A wave of cheering broke out around the stage, growing louder with each passing second as more people started calling out in my favor. Jin Zixuan was past the point of reason. He could not accept that some nobody had blocked Snowrong's attacks twice in a row. Fury overtook him. He directed Snowrong to attack again. At that moment I let out a quiet sigh. A bronze tier 10 isn't even worth Xuanbao's time as a training partner anymore. Might as well wrap this up. "Xuanbao, bring that bird down." Xuanbao understood at once. It raised one claw and brought it crashing down on the stage with full force, as though striking water. Abyssal sea pressure triggered. Snow-Rong, the gold thread finch, still mid-flight, suddenly felt as though a mountain had been dropped onto it. It plunged straight out of the sky. Standing on the stage, I no longer had the patience to waste any more time on him. I ordered Xuanbao to use the Yin Abyss Mist, but to control the intensity so as not to corrode the finch. Snow-Rong! Jin Zixuan cried out, fury flooding his mind. He suddenly reached into his pocket, pulled out a glass marble-sized orb of light, and crushed it in his fist. A dense surge of energy enveloped Snow-Rong instantly. When it dissipated, the suppression on Snow-Rong had been removed. It had returned to its true tier, Silver 3. Country boy, you and that turtle of yours are staying on this stage. Jin Zixuan's eyes were full of killing intent. He looked ready to tear me apart. Snow-Rong, kill him. Snow-Rong's tier restored to Silver 3. Its wings beat powerfully, scattering the Yin Abyss mist. My pupils contracted sharply. This was bad. Silver 3 was 4 full tiers above Xuanbao. There was no winning this. Snow-Rong broke free and shot into the air. A beam of extreme cold blazed downward, aimed directly at Xuanbao. And then from somewhere a gentle, warm wind drifted across the stage and snuffed the beam of cold out entirely. Bai Feng walked in at a measured pace and said, "Cold and flat, Jin Zixuan. Report to the disciplinary office. Do it again, and you'll be expelled." Every trace of fire in Jin Zixuan's head went out at once. Breaking assessment protocol was going on the permanent record, along with 6 months of confinement. He didn't have the nerve to argue. He accepted it and took himself off. After Jin Zixuan left, I exhaled quietly. If Bai Feng hadn't arrived in time, Xuanbao would have taken a serious hit. I'd been so focused on ending the fight quickly that I'd stopped thinking. Jin Zixuan was Silver Tier 3, and I had almost paid for it. Bai Feng stepped up onto the stage and said, "That was Jin Zixuan's fault. You've passed the assessment. First round, full marks, 500 points. There are only 2 rounds in the entrance assessment. A total score of 400 is enough to gain entry to Spark University." My first round score alone was already more than sufficient. A burst of stunned voices went up around the stage. Even a few of the other stage champions couldn't help looking over. Spark University had never seen a perfect score in round 1 before. No less than what you'd expect from the Alliance's first SS rank. I was transferred down from the stage, and a wave of admiring, envious eyes followed me. But nobody came forward to disturb me. Wu Aoshin's eyes darkened as they fixed on me. A perfect score in round 1. So what? Country boys are still country boys. Round 2 doesn't test raw strength. Let's see what tricks you can pull then. You'll regret coming to Spark University. And that goes for you too, Lei Yang. After the fight, Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao closed in around me. Su Xiaoxiao looked at me with something approaching reverence. "Jiang bro, let me introduce you to my sister. You two would be perfect together." I waved my hands quickly. That was the second time Su Xiaoxiao had tried to set me up. Then Lei Yang and Su Xiaoxiao started their own assessments. The outcomes were never in doubt. Both passed their challenges, defeating their opponents within 3 minutes. Each walked away with 300 points. Worth noting, Wu Aoshin's whole entourage of capital heirs had all passed too, and they came out with 200 points each. I stared in bafflement. How were these spoiled troublemakers actually this capable? Every single one of them had an epic-grade beast. Lei Yang's explanation cleared it up in an instant. Those epic-grade beasts weren't awakened, they were bought. The next day, fewer than 400 candidates cleared the final cut. On the plaza, Bai Feng announced the start of round 2. This round assessed secondary profession development. Su Xiaoxiao said, "The second round of the entrance assessment tests this every year, but the specific challenge changes." On the platform, Bai Feng gave a short cough and said, "This year's round 2 is drawn from the Alliance's 36 mainstream professions. All the materials needed to begin each one are provided here. Choose freely and complete the entry requirements. You have 1 day to successfully clear entry level and demonstrate your ability to me." The crowd erupted. 1 day to pass the entry requirements of a secondary profession? How was that even possible? No one could believe this was actually the challenge. Su Xiaoxiao wasn't surprised at all. My sister's round 2 when she sat this assessment was the same thing. Lei Yang and I both turned to her instantly. Did she pass? Su Xiaoxiao looked at us. Would she have gotten into Spark University if she didn't? I scratched my head sheepishly. What profession did she pick for entry? Su Xiaoxiao thought for a moment. She chose blacksmithing. You just have to hammer iron and learn the materials. That's all it takes for entry level. Though I wouldn't recommend it for you two. Why? I asked. Su Xiaoxiao said, "Because my sister's strength is a little on the higher end." Then Su Xiaoxiao's cheeks turned red. I pressed on. "How many points did she get?" "Blacksmithing is a T2 profession. She got 300. I nodded. Not something to dismiss lightly. I kept going. "What about the other professions? What's popular?" Most candidates in past years go for low-threshold options like seamstress, appraiser, or chef. The point ceiling for those isn't very high, though. The appraiser tops out at 200. As for T0, there's only one. Su Xiaoxiao paused, and her expression turned serious. "That would be formation architect." My pupils tightened. I knew this profession. A formation architect was someone who could compound quality cultivation serums, substances used to elevate a beast's inherent grade. Because of that, formation architects held an almost irreplaceable position across the entire alliance. Even the most basic 1-star formation architect was a target every major faction competed to recruit. Of course, the barrier to entry was correspondingly steep. Across the entire Spark Alliance, all formation architects combined numbered just over 2,200. Those at 2-star or above didn't even reach 800. I nodded slowly, head down in thought. Lei Yang noticed me go quiet and gave me a puzzled look. "Jiang bro, what are you thinking of picking?" "I haven't fully decided, but but if I'm being pushed to choose one, it would have to be Formation Architect. Not because it was T0, but because my special ability let me see a beast's evolution paths. With that ability, becoming a Formation Architect was essentially guaranteed. I turned my head toward the platform area. It had already been sectioned off into 36 zones, each filled with the materials and tools for its respective profession. My eyes landed on a section at the far edge. Everything laid out there was tied to Formation Architecture. The materials, the tools, all of it.